Flutter and React Native, two of the biggest names in cross-platform app development, are locked in an epic showdown. So both promise to save time, money, and deliver stellar apps across iOS and Android. But which one actually delivers on the hype? Now today I'm going to break down the pros, the cons, the trade-offs, and help you decide which framework is best for your next project. It's a battle of performance, ease of use, and community support. So let's dive in and see who wins. All right, welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for companies. I've spent over a decade as a fractional CTO and have 25 years of development experience transforming tech teams and products. So trust me when I say that I've tried every framework battle out there, and let's dive into what this one's about, and this is no exception. So we're going to dive into the ultimate Flutter versus React Native comparison and figure out which framework deserves a spot in your development stack. Now let's dive into Flutter first, and let's talk about some of the pros here. So some of the big pros here is that Flutter promises it promises performance, and it's a performance beast. Flutter uses Google's Skia engine to render UIs consistently and lightning fast across platforms. No JavaScript bridge here, just native performance. Now, Flutter also has widgets galore. So Flutter's widget-based architecture gives you insane control over your UI, ensuring that your app looks pixel perfect on every device. Now, next is the hot reload. You can test, tweak, and repeat. Flutter's hot reload is a game changer for developers who love instant feedback and don't want to have to wait for a bunch of build and compilation time. Now, Flutter also goes beyond mobile. Now, this is a little bit of a stretch, but you can target desktop and web applications alongside mobile with a single code base. I don't know a lot of people who use Flutter for web platforms. The desktop is growing, and that's an interesting take on it, but the web is still maturing, I would say. And for an app that's already matured, that's something. So now, some of the cons is Dart who? So while Dart is powerful, it's not as mainstream as JavaScript is, which React Native obviously uses. So there's a learning curve for new developers. The next one is there is some app bloat. Flutter apps can pack on some extra pounds, which makes your app store downloaders a little bit of a grumble, right? Now, they also do have a growing ecosystem. While Flutter's library support is expanding quickly, it's still playing catch up to React Native, who's actually been the longer player of these two. So let's dive into React Native a little bit and talk about some of their pros. One of the big pros to React Native is JavaScript familiarity. So if you already know JavaScript or React Native feels like coming home. Now, React and React Native are similar, but they're not one-to-one. I get that question all the time. Now, React Native also has a massive ecosystem. With years of community love, React Native has a treasure trove of libraries, tools, and third-party support. Now, number 3 is hot reload. Like Flutter, React Native lets you tweak and test in real time. It didn't always used to be this way. I know when I started using React Native, man, the recompile and reload time was painful, but they've definitely fixed this. So there's also a lot of platform power. You can write native code where you need it, combined with the best of React with direct platform optimizations. Now, some of the cons. Performance quirks. React Native relies on JavaScript bridge, not native, to connect to native components, which can sometimes cause lag in components or animation-heavy apps. Now, there's also a lot of UI hiccups. Because it uses native components, subtle inconsistencies can appear between iOS and Android. Now, lastly, I think is the biggest con to React Native is the aging libraries. Some React Native libraries are starting to collect cobwebs and lack active maintenance. What's funny about this is what is actually considered by some to be the strength, because React Native is the longer platform, the older platform of the two, actually starts to break down and starts to be some of its negatives. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the ease of use. Flutter is like that fancy sports car you love driving. Once you figure out all the controls, it's amazing. So it's a widget-based architecture and is powerful, but can feel unfamiliar at first. Dart, while robust, requires some time to get cozy with. But once you've mastered the widget tree and Dart's object-oriented syntax, Flutter development becomes a dream. Now, for ease of use on React Native, if you've worked with JavaScript, React Native is as easy as plugging in your favorite keyboard and getting started. React developers will feel right at home thanks to JSX syntax and familiar component structure. Plus, the ability to sprinkle in native code for platform-specific needs makes React Native a flexible powerhouse for teams already fluent in JavaScript. Now, if your company's tech stack feels confusing and is learning a new language, let us help you out. Here at Startup Hack, we specialize in connecting systems so everything runs super smooth for your company. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we've got your back. Now, let's talk about performance for a minute here. Flutter is built for speed. Its native ARM compilation and lack of JavaScript bridge makes it a performance monster, especially for animation-heavy or graphic-intensive apps. So whether you're building the next TikTok or slick e-commerce app, Flutter will keep your users swiping with butterfly smooth performance. Now, React Native performs well enough for most use cases, but its reliance on JavaScript bridge can cause hiccups. If you're building a simple or modularity complex app, React Native will handle it like a pro, but for heavy animation or ultra complex computation, you really are going to have to lean on native code optimizations. Now, let's talk a little bit about the community and the ecosystem. Flutter's community is growing super fast. It's kind of the new kid on the block, the new kid in school who's suddenly become really popular fast, right? Google's backing definitely ensures frequent updates and strong developer resources. However, its library ecosystem is still catching up to React Native, but I think it's pretty much caught it at this point. But for some people, they still say they can't find everything. We haven't really run into that problem. Now, for React Native, on the other hand, it's had a long-established community. It's been around since 2015, and its ecosystem is huge. Need a library for something specific? I'm sure it exists. The only downside is some older libraries are definitely need a little bit of TLC to bring them back up to 2024. Now, I want to share my screen with you really quick here and go into a comparison that we're seeing here, right? So let's talk a little bit about these comparisons. So the language for Flutter is Dart, whereas the language for React Native is JavaScript. Again, I'll let you decide whether this is a pro or a con. Rendering, custom rendering engine, which is Skia, versus a native component with a JavaScript bridge. Again, some people like the native JavaScript, but from an actual rendering performance, this is definitely, as you can see on the performance, right? And it's fast. Performance for Flutter is fast, very close to the native builds. And that's because it's ultimately mostly compiling down to those native builds. Now, the other one is that for React Native can lag in these complex scenarios. And I would even say complex. I would say in a lot of scenarios. Now, the UI consistency on Flutter is super good. It gets consistent custom widgets. We've recently got turned down by Apple App Store for something, and we've actually gone back and actually done specialized styling for iOS, which you can also do with Flutter. Now, with React Native, you get the native feel, but you also run into minor platform differences as JavaScript gets rendered differently across those platforms in that bridge. Now, Flutter supposedly, is listing here is saying it's a steeper learning curve for those who are new to Dart. I think once you get Dart, it's pretty straightforward. React Native is slightly easier if you're like a JavaScript pro, right? Now, when we get to the app size, Flutter is going to be a little bit bigger, whereas React Native is going to be a little bit smaller because it relies on that bridge, whereas Flutter has to build all of its native, closer to native here, right? Now, Flutter, I would say it's rapidly growing, but I would definitely say it's a newer community. Flutter and React Native is established and extensive. So, you can see some of these differences here in our comparison chart, and this is a really good comparison. So here's ultimately what I would really boil it down to. I would personally choose, and we do choose Flutter. I've chosen Flutter over React Native for the last 5 years. But really, the big takeaway here is you want to choose Flutter if you need custom UIs with pixel-perfect consistency across platforms. Also, you'd choose Flutter if your apps will use animations, transitions, or complex graphics that require native-like speed. Also, you want to choose Flutter if you're going to target mobile, web, and desktop with a single code base. So if you know you're going to end up with something for desktop or web, then Flutter is definitely the choice because React Native doesn't really give you that. Now, some things to consider that you might consider React Native for. Your team already knows JavaScript and React. Your ramp-up time will be smaller. Next is if you need native integration for a platform-specific feature, because React is going to probably compile down slightly better there, but Flutter's gotten a lot better about this too. Now, if your project relies on a mature library ecosystem for flexibility and faster development, a lot of times I've seen people choose React Native simply because there is a particular library they know they have to build in. So, if you want blazing fast performance, custom visuals, and flexibility to build beyond mobile, Flutter is your best bet. If your team is already JavaScript savvy and you need something battle tested with extensive library support, React Native definitely still is an option for you. Both frameworks are excellent tools. It all comes down to the specific needs of your app and your skills for your team. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to have a great discussion. So make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. If nothing else, just to say hi. The best compliment I get is when people leave comments and tell me what they prefer. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out because we'd love to help. Hit the links down below or check out startuphack.com/Spencer today, and we will catch you guys next time. Want to become a software developer but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Startup Hack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely and students can start earning while they learn.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack. One thing setting Startup Hack apart from any other coding bootcamp was the quality of one-on-one tutoring available. All of the projects that we did were challenging and thought-provoking, but left me feeling very accomplished and very prepared for my first job that I was offered just days after completing the program.
Hello, I'm Tom, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack, and I must say that it was an excellent experience. The tutors is what set this course apart from others. They were knowledgeable, experienced, and always available to help provide me with guidance and support. Do not hesitate to take advantage of this affordable and efficient software development course.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience, on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out startuphack.com to code